Good evening and welcome to the Walking Dead support group. If you watched tonight's episode, you probably saw the best episode so far as I was concerned. So let's get the introductions over with. First, to my right, Keith O'Brien. I'm Alex Mann. We're not the hot ones. Tonight, Jason McCarthy been deemed the hot one. So by our Twitter fans and our Facebook fans, Jason on his birthday, he gets to be the hot guy. So, I know. See, look at that's a lovely shade of red. That's not makeup. He's actually turning that color. So, as we always do with our show, we're going to turn it over to Keith for the kill count. Keith.
It's hard to follow that, isn't it?
Keith, I can't throw it to him.
I know, it's tough to follow that hotness. But I promise we'd leave that. No, I'm just joking around. The kill count was 29.
29 walkers.
29 walkers. I didn't count the
that was a side count, but we heard from the preview.
Preview said 8, but he likes to exaggerate. So
Right.
we'll go. I thought it was 5, so maybe it's 4, and he's doubling it.
Okay.
But 29. He picked up. It was slow there for a while. We were at like 7, and then it picked up on Merle's little quest, whatever he was up to doing. But
Right.
he took out more people as they were taking out walkers. But 29 is the number.
So one of the
That's a cold count.
one of the new things that we've started to do is doing these kind of shout outs to people. So Jason, since it's your birthday, would you like to send a shout out to anybody, anyone in your family that may be here celebrating the birthday with you?
My daughter Rebecca is here.
The not hot guys maybe who sit next to your awesomeness week after week. Just saying. How about maybe Vinny wants a little bit of love?
Hey, Vinny.
Give a shout out to Vinny. Keith, anybody you want to give a quick shout out to?
No.
No. All right, well, I'll hit it up. We've got a whole bunch of new Twitter followers. We're at 348, which is absolutely crazy to me. So I'll say hi to Thomas, Kari, Danelle, Wendy, Laura, Carol, Honky Tonk Woman. We've got a whole bunch of people there. Jill, I know you'll catch up on this later. Jill is one of our big fans. She lives out in Las Vegas. She is not watching tonight. She had a close personal friend die, so our thoughts are with you. Sandra out in Germany, thank you for getting me through a long night. She was texting me because it was daytime in Germany. Yes, we have an international following. Does your support group? And I think that might be it. So as we're going to move on to some topics of discussion, well, that's different.
Somebody's knocking on the door.
Come on in.
Hey! We have a special delivery here.
Oh, a
Merle's
special
Bakery.
Merle's Bakery.
We got a nice big cake with pretty pink frosting for Jason.
Why don't we get that on the
birthday.
camera?
Hold on.
Excellent. Thanks. Why don't we just put that right on the table, Vinny?
Here you go.
Stagehand Vinny. Thank you, Vin.
Thank you, Vinny.
Yeah, you know what? That's awesome. Look at that. We're just gonna thank you, Merle, and the Merle's Bake Shop. It's a happy birthday
Merle's
cake.
is closed from now on, I was told.
Yes, and due to a recent death in the family. There's a death in the family. So lo and behold, there it is. Jason's Merle's
They're not getting
birthday
anything
cake. Thank you, Vin.
They're not getting anything out there or on Verizon.
Okay. So I'm not sure why they're not getting sound. Yeah. Check the level on the mixer. There's like one level.
Nothing on TV.
Oh, okay. There's nothing on TV. Oh well, I apologize. My bad. How's that? Now we're there. That's the problem. Look at that. See, I love live interaction.
Right.
All right, so let's try and rein this show back in. So what you normally
Is that
see here,
possible?
yeah, there are a whole lot of new people here tonight. So what you see here is a whole slew of technology going on. We've got Facebook, we've got Twitter, we've got texting, we've got a whole way to kind of get. We've got cake apparently,
cake.
and unfortunately, normally Jason has this low tech kind of thing going on. But since Jason is now the hot guy, and since the hot guy seems to go with low tech stuff, what I got for Jason for his birthday was a Merle and Daryl Dixon crossbow. So this is for you, Jason. And there you go.
Now that's just awesome.
Look at, and he's even wearing some plaid. So
Hey, the way
It's not loaded.
That doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. You could possibly deadly kill someone.
I like this.
Not
There you
just
go, right
watch
here.
out for your cake. No, I think you need to hold that. I think
I
that
don't want to hurt anybody.
just
Just
yourself.
good point,
Just
yeah.
just the ladies at home watching, brother. That's all I can say. All right. So the topic discussion tonight. The first is the title of it was called "This Sorrowful Life," and we this could have gone a whole bunch of ways, but it obviously became about Merle. And one of the things we kind of got out of this was Merle obviously had a lot of self-reflection going on, and we knew there was going to probably Merle was going to die before the end of this season. But the thing is, we just weren't sure. We were all debating if this was going to be with sacrificing himself for Daryl somehow. And turns out Daryl's going out trying to save him. Keith, what did you think of that title and the Sorrowful Life and tying it all into Merle?
Well, tying it into Merle, it seems like maybe Merle's sorry for maybe his past deeds, and he's very sorrowful because he's definitely reminiscent. He talks about how many people he killed when he's talking to Michonne. And, he says he killed 16 people. And Michonne asks, did you kill anybody before this? And she says, no, what? So I think he's very softly. He's obviously thought of some things. He's trying, it seems like he's tried to right some little wrong here. I don't quite know why he takes Michonne down this road and captures her. Why couldn't he just be fair to her and tell her? He ties her up, then he has to let her go. Maybe he just had this revelation after that. I don't know.
Right.
But, he goes out, he draws the walkers in, brings them to the meeting place, and instead of really, he wasn't shooting walkers, he was shooting the governor's away team. Little Star Trek
The away
thing.
team? There are a bunch of red shirts today.
How do you like that, Sandra? A little away team joke.
Yeah.
'Cause she's
That
Star
was-
Trekkie. She's a Trekkie, so gotta let her have that. But in the thing, it's just in the title. Now it is sorrowful. I mean, there's a lot of people now talking about, now Merle's a walker and Daryl had to do the thing and kill him, and I got Joey Gold in here and Holbrook saying, I'm not watching the show anymore.
Wow, you must have been a huge Merle
He must
fan.
be a huge Merle fan.
Joey, if you're watching,
Joey, come on.
you know what? Trust me. Next week,
Next
you're
week
gonna,
will be
you're gonna have
great,
a
dude.
big bloodbath. You'll be quite happy.
Yeah, you'd be happy.
And Joey, the game that's coming out, the game that already came out, I think this week, is Merle starring in it with Daryl. So
Right.
you'll be happy
Yeah.
with that.
That's gotten actually a
Either
ton
that
of
or he
good
means
reviews.
he can't watch us because
Jason, what did you think of Merle and his full circle redemption tonight?
It was hard to see it coming until he stopped the car on the road. I think as soon as he stopped that car on the road, it kind of came clear as to you kind
Clear?
of tie in.
What are we doing tonight? Clear or hot? Which is it?
Kinda ties in
We're
the
gonna
whole-
beat him up later.
Yeah, right. I'm sure. It kind of ties in the whole thing. And you look back at his face when he was telling how many men he killed, and it made you think: was he saying it because he's sorry for it, or because he was boasting that he killed 16 men? And I think that once he stopped that car, you kind of knew what was going to happen.
I think he was probably trying to figure out which side of him was going to go that way. Was he going to do it? Was he not going to do it? He was right. Rick was not going to do it. And I think he was willing to do it. And there was a great line he had said where, I'm the one, maybe they need someone like me. Maybe they need someone who's going to do the dirty work. And when you think about it, isn't that kind of how we look at a lot of like our military? We want them to do those things. They want to go out. We want them to go and kill people and defend us. But when we come back, we don't want them to act like that. So we do have this necessity of feeling of protection. And for protection, you're asking people to sacrifice a lot of who they are. I had a really good, strong feeling as that was going on. He was not going to do it. And the reason I thought was it was becoming very clear, to me that he was looking for some way to redeem himself. He said, I can't go back. I can't do this again. And all of a sudden, Michonne's like a camp counselor. She's kind of talking to him in a way that says, well, you don't have to be this way. You can do different things. And she kind of got through in a moment of weakness, I think. And Merle decided, I'm probably going to die anyways. So do I go out this way or do I commit one final sin? I was impressed. I thought it was good. Me personally, I'm with Joey. I'm going to miss. His name's Al Roker, who plays the character Merle Dixon. He is fantastic. Unfortunately, if you look at his IMDb catalog, he's usually one of those guys that gets killed about 2/3 into everything he's in. So it's too bad we don't get to see him around a lot more.
Expendables with that.
But a great ending to it. So, but we'll get into that. So, what do you think, Jason? Was Merle redeemed?
Yes. Well, we'll find out, but nobody really knows what happened yet because the only one that really knows or has an idea is Daryl, and Daryl's not gone back to the prison
But
yet.
Daryl,
Share the
he
news.
knows those guys are dead, and he knows that had to have been Merle.
Yeah, all the guys with the guts ripped out. I mean, that's not walkers. That's walkers eating human flesh.
Right.
So,
Keith, is he redeemed?
I think he's redeemed in the eyes of the fan. I'll go along with what Jason's saying. Well, obviously, he's redeemed with the fans. The only person that knows that Merle's dead is Daryl, and the governor and Martinez there. So, in a way, he did redeem himself. I don't think he accomplished what he wanted to accomplish, but nobody knew what he was doing, except for Merle. And it came down to, unfortunately, Daryl finding him and having to, put him down as a walker. But yeah, I think he's redeemed himself. I just hope that, it does come out that, we can try and figure out what he did. Will Michonne tell Rick that he let him go, and Rick's going to apologize to Michonne, for second guessing his choices, and it should come out in the end in the wash. But
Christina, I like your line of the night, and we'll save that for when we get to that part. But it's on Facebook. That's the fun part of this show, is that we're looking at everybody's going on. I think he is redeemed, and I think what's going to be interesting is he's going to find out that he released Michonne, because Michonne knows.
Michonne knows.
So there's the beginning of the story, and so you have that, and then you have Daryl. We assume is going to probably come back, and he's definitely going to want blood, but Glenn is now going to have to deal with the thought that he had a chance to maybe give forgiveness and he didn't. And that's in the development of his character, as I really see him being a non-military type leader. Like you have Rick, who's a military leader. At the end of a revolution or at the end of the war, the military steps in, gets things going. But then eventually civilians take over. Yeah. I see that's this natural transition. So if you guys could, can you bring up the still picture from Twitter? We have a great question from Cynthia, and take down that graphic for a second so everybody can see it. Thanks. Do you think they would kill Merle? Sorry, Cynthia, they did. Before we get a chance to see what kind of brotherly destruction they can cause together. I think we all at this table, and probably almost everybody watching it, and I'm probably going to go on a limb and speak for Joey. Yes, we wanted to see the Dixon boys go hog wild on somebody. But I think, you'll have to wait now for the video game to do that. So, unfortunately, but I wanted to give a little shout out to Cynthia because that was, I thought, a great question. So one of the other things that we come up, and this is on my notes in between the stuff here, we always have Bible quotes. Or we don't always, but when we do, we always bring them up. And obviously tonight, Herschel was quoting from the Bible. And through the powers of Google, I found what he was quoting. It was from Revelation, and it starts off with Revelation 3:8. And in the end, this is basically, if you deny me as the Savior, if you deny me as a human, and if you deny to help the suffering and the people who are going through bad times, you will be not denied entrance into heaven. And both Rick and Herschel would killing themselves over this decision to give up Michonne. They knew it was the wrong decision. They thought it might, justify the means, and then they both kind of came to the conclusion at the same time they weren't going to. Not being a practitioner of any religion, I love how they tie in these little subtle things. We've had Old Testament, we've had New Testament, we've had references to the Greek mythology and Norse mythology. There are all these subtle little storylines to that stuff, and bringing in Revelation tonight brings us back to when we first met Herschel, where he said, I never thought the end of days was going to be the dead coming back. I thought the dead were going to go to heaven, and that's where they'd be judged. So I think Herschel has now come full circle. He's back to who he was in his roots, and I think he's come to peace with him and his God and where he's at. But what did you take away from that? Because they gave us a good portion of that Bible quote. What do you think?
For the most part, I didn't take much from the Bible quote, but just what he was willing to do for his daughters. During that reading, you could see him fighting with himself in his head, and he was willing to sacrifice somebody else for his daughter, but he was fighting himself pretty hard on it.
Right. Keith, what do you have?
I agree with Jason on this because he was quoting the Bible and reading from the Bible with his daughters right there. I think it was maybe just a side of his sorrowful life, going along, with what you say.
Nice tie.
But he's sorry now because this conversation in the biblical verse is before Rick comes back to Herschel and says, "I've changed my mind." So Herschel has agreed to sacrifice somebody else to protect his two daughters, his family. And I think he's a little bit remorseful, and perhaps he's looking for redemption, therefore why he's reading Revelation.
But also, we never got a chance to see what Herschel was going to say to Rick, because Rick interrupted him.
Yes.
He might have been about to say that he wasn't willing to go through with it, and
Yeah, but
Rick cut him
the
off.
little meeting in the courtyard, he kind of already agreed. But it seems like Rick already, Rick flip-flops, and Herschel probably could have talked. I agree with you. Herschel could have talked him out of it.
Right.
And then Herschel, calls it, Rick calls a team meeting in the courtyard. Everybody together now, team meeting. And this is the story. We were supposed to give up Michonne. We're not. We're going to have a vote. He said we're going to have a vote before we do anything. He doesn't know Michonne might be coming back. He doesn't know what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Now Michonne's going to come back, and he's put that into their heads. Maybe are they going to have a vote when she comes back and still give her up? Probably not.
No, I don't think they're going to give her up.
No, they probably
And-
won't give her up. I don't think they're going to get a chance. We see the previews that Woodbury's coming to the prison, and it's going to be,
Right.
Not to say a bloodbath, but it's,
Well, we know there's going to be a bloodbath.
yeah.
And I'm still sticking to my thought that this is the armed forces leave Woodbury and there's nobody watching the door.
Well, somebody said that in the other room. I don't know if it was one of us, but somebody said that originally they thought Merle was just leading, or I think it was Kirk, was leading a parade of walkers to Woodbury.
Right.
It almost seemed like Merle was, getting drunk, drinking the Jack Daniels. He was just going to make a parade of walkers crash through Woodbury and say, "Ha ha, I'm back."
But that was a tactic that the governor
Has
had
always used.
So when Philip had used it,
Phil Connors.
thank you,
You're
yes.
welcome.
When he had used it, it was like bringing the plague, like in the blankets to the natives, and that was somewhat of a kind of a brilliant strategy to attack the prison with. But now they're slowly learning from other people that they're interacting with on how to stop them. Like they started building up the barricades, similar to like in the town by himself. I can't believe I just
Morgan.
like Morgan did. And then now they're also, dragging the parade. That was awesome, by the way. The Walking Day parade, Memorial Day parade. I don't know who said that in there, but I love that. So then that brings us up to who played the most important role of the story tonight. Keith, who do you think was?
I put down Daryl in the middle of this because Daryl was going around. Daryl was going to Glenn, and then Daryl was going to Merle, and he was trying to make the peace in between those two. He went and talked to Glenn. He got Glenn's 2 cents. He beat me up. He humiliated Maggie, and I just don't know if I can forgive him. And Glenn did give him a little bit of a segue to say I probably could. And then Daryl goes out and searches out for Merle, and this is in the middle of Merle's little leaving of the prison. So I do say Daryl, and then of course at the end, obviously Daryl did play a most important role tonight, unfortunately.
Jason, what do you think? Who was the most important character tonight?
Obviously, Merle was the highlight of the show, but I'm kind of agreeing with Keith. I'm split, though, between Daryl and Michonne, because all of this happened because the conversation that Daryl had with Merle.
Sorry, the cake is in the show. Go
Thank
ahead.
you, Merle's Bakery. I appreciate that. Where was I? Daryl had that conversation with Merle. Basically ended with, "I just want my brother back." And Michonne's little pep talk on the ride. I think all that tied into his final decision
Right.
to play the martyr, to sacrifice himself for the group.
It will be interesting to see Daryl's reaction to when he hears the story from Michonne about their conversation, because it was, to me, it was obvious as they were walking. Michonne has dealt with evil in her life. She has seen, because she said, no, evil is not weighted down by this. It's light as a feather. It's fine with what it's doing. You're weighted down by this. It does seem to bother you. When you're taking that moment to reflect, it does. So that was kind of that interesting kind of twist. For me, I think probably the most important character was that stupid kid that got in front of the governor.
Who, Penny?
Yeah.
No, not Penny, but that other kid who and that was the one who got shot in the head instead of the governor.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That to me, the kid had, 6.5 seconds on air, and it was over, but he's the one who took the bullet for the governor. So, unfortunately, that's where I was going with it, but it is what it is. So another thing that's kind of come up is a lot of people thought Milton was going to die in this episode. And, I have to admit, I thought he was going soon, too. And there was an interesting thing on one of the fan groups. Milton currently is in 2 shows. He's like a supporting character in both of these shows. But he's now going to be playing a police detective on Unforgettable. And he's going to have a major role on that show. So there's a good chance maybe, if the production schedules are going to conflict, maybe they'll get him out at the season finale. But I did see, like when it started with the if they kill Daryl, we riot. Well, now there's if they kill Milton, we riot, which is, I was shocked. I was like, really? Like in an episode and a half, all of a sudden everyone swung to Dr. Mindbender, but okay. So I'm not really sure. Keith, do you have any other notes from any other things before we move on too far?
No, but along those lines, I will say, I believe Maggie's going to be on Law and Order this week. SVU.
Okay.
Special guest.
Will she be playing Maggie, or?
She could be, because I think she plays a pregnant lady. So good for you, Glenn.
Congratulations. Any other topics before we go along with our sheet here?
Nope, I'm clear.
All right. There was one thing that I want to hit on.
Are you in the hot seat?
No, and it goes back to how I kind of thought Merle was going to transition tonight, how he was going to find his redemption. When he was talking to Rick about his dark side, he stayed in the shadow in that cell. And he was literally half and half. You had the shadow over his face. You could partly see him. It was almost like Two-Face from Batman. Mm-hmm. He had his duality going there. So I think you had that going on. And then all of a sudden, he steps forward into the light and says, that's what it is. And basically, you're you, I'm me, and that's how it is. It was very clear at that point to me. The visual aspect of it, I thought it was kind of neat. Because I really think that they do like to kind of hit us up with those foreshadowing things.
Yeah, they like to do that, and you see it tie in later on in the show.
Right. They definitely throw these little subtle things at you that when you go back the second time and watch it, it is interesting. Yeah. And you know what? I'm not a big fan of watching the black and white episodes. This is one I will watch in black and white because of that shadowing aspect. They really played with the shadows in this one, I thought. So, as we're coming into the last 5 minutes here, we're going to cut into Jason's birthday cake, probably with a crossbow, because he's so hot. We'll go to the kill of the night, and we'll start with Keith.
My kill of the night is going to be Michonne getting that walker Godfather style.
Okay. All right.
With the wire around the pole.
Karat?
Around the rope and just yanking till the head
Colombian
comes off.
necktie.
No, Colombian necktie was always a knife. From,
was it?
From ear to ear.
I think it's Garot.
Is it Garot?
If I'm saying that
okay.
right. Yeah, something like that.
And Godfather, reach behind with the wire.
We'll let Jason have the end of this one. So I'll agree with Keith. But I had it a different title to that.
Okay.
I called it the Queen of Hearts kill. Oh, off with their heads!
Oh, yes, the Queen of Hearts kill.
I thought that was like the Queen of Hearts. That was beautiful. Keith, what was your favorite kill of the night?
I already did mine.
I'm Jason.
I'm sorry, Jason.
I like the way I like that kill. That was one of them. That was split the top two.
You notice he brought back the deck of cards, Queen of Hearts, from a couple weeks
He
ago.
does
Yes.
Very good of you.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
But when Michonne stomped out that zombie's head like a cigarette,
Look at cigarette. Back to the Cadbury egg kill.
right? That was
The foot
pretty
stomping?
impressive
The
to me.
stomping?
Jason,
You like
can
the
you just, we're having a technical difficulty. Can you just get a little lower into the shot, please, with the cake?
It was when Michonne.
No, we're not going to smash your face in that, I promise, because, I actually do want a piece of that. Thank you. Okay. So, best line of the night. I'll start off with that. And it goes to, for me, it was Merle. It was long and drawn out, so I shortened it to, I've done worse. Now you want to do what I do. And that was very clear that I brought people to the governor, and you hated me for it. And now all of a sudden, you're going to bring people to the governor. What's the difference? And I think that's one of those things that kind of stings you and says, you know what? I don't want to be like that. And going back to his redemption, he is aware of what he is. He clearly said it. I put that in my notes, that he is very much aware of who he is and his dark side and what he's capable of. And I think that was him kind of utilizing that in that one line tonight. Keith?
What are we on?
Wow. You're on Twitter or
Twitter
something.
and Facebook. I'm
Facebook.
working the crowd.
You are working the crowd. I'll give you that.
What are we on,
Best line of the night? Yes.
It's line of the night, not paragraph of the night. Okay, buddy?
Thanks.
You're welcome.
You're hurtful.
I'm just saying.
Okay. I couldn't see with the glare. Sorry.
Maybe you have a fever. Or are you hot? Which is
Hey, could you shoot an arrow into the door frame over there, please? Thanks.
line
door
of the
stop.
line of the night. I like Michonne's line of the night when she was wired up, and he goes, and Merle says, "I'm surprised you didn't run." She goes, "Well, before I escape, I want my sword back," because she had a snicker smile on her face. So I like that. I like that one. Line of the night.
Very good. So
I had two.
Yes. Go ahead.
Hey, wait your turn.
Thought it was.
It was.
Yeah, we don't have a fourth host.
Right.
Way to go.
I
Good
actually had
math
two. The first one was just that funny one-liner. Best dope I ever had was in a mattress. And the other one was, in life you got to go with the hand you're dealt.
Yep.
And I only have one.
And-
Another beautiful Merle line.
And that was, I believe, Christina's also line of the night. It was Merle. You got to work with the hand you're dealt, and I've only got one.
Yeah.
So you and Christina are on the same path there. And as we always do, we like to wrap it up with the things that we learned. So Jason, since it's your birthday, what did you learn tonight?
I learned that in this post-apocalypse time, you don't need to save 2 months for a ring. You just need a sharp knife.
Damn it! You stole another one.
That's great. I like that. Keith, what did you learn tonight?
I was going with you don't have to go to Jared's, but he's kind of stole.
Listen,
sorry.
Listen, you stole my best kill, so I just had a different name for it, and you had a different name for that.
I know.
Godfather style.
No, it's not Gangnam Style, that's
Gangnam
for sure.
style.
What I got out of this was Merle was very clear who he was. He accepted it, and he did what the team prison was not going to be able to do. He put a huge dent in the governor's forces tonight, and shook up that town. And according to the control room, we learned Merle is the #1 baker. Thank you, control room.
I have on Facebook from Billy, what I learned tonight, it's really easy to shop in the post-zombie world. Along with the
There you go.
ring
Yep.
carrot,
Fair enough.
Just need a good knife. And he got lucky with the size, probably, I guess.
Yeah.
I think he was weighing.
He
it's like
probably was.
moving
He
down
did
the
look like
line.
he was, yeah.
probably like, "Ah, let's
All right,
go."
Jason, we're coming into the final seconds. Say goodbye to everybody for us.
I'd like to thank you guys all for watching the Walking Dead support group. I'd like to thank in the control room, we have Chris Mann, BJ, Vinny, and
A couple audience members in the other room.
the audience members in the other
We got
room.
the Facebook and the Twitter feed. Find us on Facebook at Walking Dead Support Group, or find us on Twitter at WD Support Group. We also have a blog, and all that information's up there. Thanks again. Have a good night.
Good night.
Hold on. Clear.
Clear.